Welcome to another deep dive, and this time we're tackling a classic. We're diving into Napoleon Hill's How to Own Your Own Mind.
A classic.
Yeah, I always get a little, sometimes it's these self-help books, I'm like, okay, can I really just think my way to success? But I will say, he lays out some pretty concrete steps to train your mind. I mean, it's almost like you're training for a marathon. You know?
Yeah, no, that's a great analogy because it really is about building mental muscle. It's not just about positive thinking. It's like, building that strength. And one of the first muscles that Hill wants us to really kind of flex is this idea of creative vision.
Creative vision.
That makes me think of artistic, Is this just for the poets and the painters, or is this something that we can all benefit from?
It's interesting. It really applies to everyone because what Hill's really talking about is this ability to see opportunities, not just problems, but opportunities, and then having the courage to act on those opportunities.
Okay.
And the key to all of this is imagination. So there's a little more to it than just, daydreaming.
There is, yeah. He talks about two types of imagination.
Okay.
So we have synthetic imagination, and this is kind of like a mental mashup where you take existing ideas and you combine them in a new way.
So it's less about inventing something totally brand new from scratch,
yeah,
and more about seeing a fresh perspective maybe on something that's already out there.
Exactly. Think about Thomas Edison and the light bulb.
Oh yeah.
Right. He didn't just invent electricity or light bulbs from nothing.
Right.
The basic elements were already there. But what he did was he put them together in a brilliant new way, like using charcoal to make the bulb last longer.
Oh, right.
That's synthetic imagination at work.
That's so interesting because it's really like that aha moment when you kind of realize you can use something, familiar or something that's already out there to create something new.
That's it.
Okay, what about that other type of imagination? The one that seems to kind of come out of nowhere?
Right, that's what he calls creative imagination.
Yeah.
And this is less about kind of combining existing ideas and more about these sudden flashes of inspiration, the kind that artists and musicians often talk about. It just kind of feels like it comes from a different dimension,
Yeah, it's like a bolt of lightning.
It is.
It's like, wow, where did that come from? Okay, but can we do anything to kind of encourage these types of imagination, or are we just sort of at the mercy of our brains?
Well, Hill actually gives us 5 principles to stimulate imagination. 5. And they're surprisingly practical.
I'm intrigued. Lay on me.
All right. So first up, we have definiteness of purpose.
Okay, so knowing what you want.
Exactly.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It is straightforward, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
Because when you are clear about what you want, you're basically giving your creative energy like a laser focus.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Hill believed that fuzzy goals lead to fuzzy results.
Yeah, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you on that one. What's number 2?
All right. Principle number 2 is the mastermind principle.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
And this is all about collaboration. Because Hill believed that when people with a shared purpose come together, their combined brain power,
It's like that synergy, right?
Yes, it can spark some incredible ideas.
I think about, brainstorming sessions, You get a bunch of people in a room, you start bouncing ideas off each other, and it's amazing what can come out of it.
It is, yeah. And, the third principle is the going the extra mile principle. And this is all about passion. Because when you're truly passionate about something, you're naturally driven to find creative solutions. You'll put in that extra effort,
It's like that extra effort unlocks that next level of creativity. Yeah.
It does.
I like that.
So next we have the applied faith principle.
Applied faith. Now this one sounds a little maybe less concrete.
Yeah, it might.
I mean, how do you apply faith?
Well, Hill argued that having faith, whether it's faith in a higher power or faith in your own abilities, can actually fuel your imagination.
So tapping into something bigger than yourself can actually boost your creative thinking.
He believed it could.
Oh, interesting.
And then finally we have the organized individual endeavor principle.
Okay, lots of big words there.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, this one is about focusing your efforts and being intentional about your creative process. So you're not just passively waiting for inspiration to strike, you're actively seeking it out.
So it's like you're a gardener. You're cultivating your creative garden rather than just hoping something will sprout up on its own.
That's a great way to put it. So these 5 principles combined can really help you unlock your imaginative potential.
This is awesome. I'm already feeling more creative just thinking about it. But, we can have all these great ideas floating around. How do we actually turn, this imaginative energy into actual results?
That is where organized thought comes in.
Okay.
It's like the bridge between having those great ideas and then putting them into action.
Intrigue. Tell me more.
Yeah. So it all starts with being aware of how you think,
Okay.
not just what you're thinking about.
Okay.
Hill compares the mind to a camera,
Okay.
It needs focus to capture a clear image.
So it's not just about having like a million ideas floating around.
Yeah.
It's being able to kind of sift through those and choose the ones that are, really worth pursuing.
That's it.
Okay.
And he describes two types of reasoning that can really help with this process.
Okay.
We have inductive reasoning
Okay.
and deductive reasoning. So inductive reasoning is like being a detective,
Okay.
You're observing clues and drawing conclusions based on the evidence.
So like taking an umbrella when you see those dark clouds gathering, you're inferring it might rain based on what you're seeing.
Exact. Deductive reasoning is more about applying known facts to a specific situation. So it's like saying, all bachelors are unmarried men. John is a bachelor, therefore John is unmarried.
Okay. So inductive is about kind of drawing conclusions from what you're observing. Deductive is applying general principles to specific cases.
Yes.
Got it.
And this leads us to one of Hill's most important points. Don't rely on opinions.
Oh, I am so guilty of that sometimes.
That's the trap.
It's so easy to just accept what other people say without really questioning it.
It is, but he believed opinions are often based on bias rather than facts, and they can really lead us astray.
Oh, absolutely. So how do we kind of avoid just blindly accepting opinions?
Well, his advice is to be a critical thinker. Always double-check your sources of information. Consider the potential biases of different perspectives.
Like you're a journalist, right? Fact-checking, digging deeper, not just taking things at face value.
Exactly.
I like that. So instead of just passively consuming information, we should be actively engaging with it, questioning it, verifying it.
Exactly. And this is where we start to see how organized thought comes into play. It's not just about avoiding opinions, it's about taking control of how we process information, how we make decisions.
It's about owning our own thoughts, right?
Precisely.
I like that. Okay, so how do we do that?
A big part of this is developing what he calls controlled habits.
Controlled habits. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more about these controlled habits.
So think of it as mental discipline in action.
Okay.
It's the conscious effort to direct your thoughts rather than letting them run wild.
So we're not just at the mercy of, every random thought that pops into our heads. We can actually choose to focus on things that serve us.
Yes, it takes effort, but the payoff is huge.
Okay, so it's like training our minds to choose the thoughts that are helpful instead of the ones that maybe sabotage us.
Exactly. It's like building mental muscle. And the more we practice, the stronger we become.
Okay, it's starting to sound like a workout.
It is.
I like it. I like it. Do you have any real life examples of how this works?
I do. So imagine a woman named Penelope,
Penelope.
who dreamed of opening her own bakery. Baking was her passion, but the thought of starting a business felt so overwhelming.
Oh yeah. I think we can all relate to that feeling of being overwhelmed by a big goal.
Right.
So how did Penelope make it happen?
She used the power of controlled habits.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, she broke down her big, scary goal into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
So, finding a location, securing funding, developing recipes. This was her physical repetition of consistently taking action toward her dream.
So she's building momentum by taking action, even if those actions are small.
Exactly.
I like that.
But she also practiced what Hill calls mental repetition. So every day, she used affirmations to reinforce her belief in herself and her dream. She was training her mind to stay focused and positive, even when doubts crept in.
So she was rewiring her brain for success.
Yes.
And did it work?
Absolutely. Her bakery is now a thriving business, and it's a testament to the power of control of habits. She literally thought her dream into existence.
I love that. That is so inspiring. It just reminds us that we really do have so much power to shape our reality with our thoughts, right?
We do. And her story also connects beautifully with the idea of the law of attraction.
You mean like what we focus on, we attract into our life?
Exactly. So Penelope's positive thoughts and actions were like magnets, they were drawing her success closer.
I love that. It's all starting to really come together in my mind.
It is. It's all about building a powerful line, brick by brick.
Wow, this is great. But there's still so much to unpack. Where do we go from here?
Well, next we need to dive into one of the most powerful tools
attention, that feels like a big one, especially, in today's world. There's so many distractions coming at us from every direction. I know I struggle with it.
Oh, it is the ultimate challenge, isn't it? But it's also the key to unlocking so much potential. Remember that camera analogy we talked about?
Yeah.
Controlled attention is like adjusting that lens, zooming in on what really matters and filtering out all the noise.
So it's like we're creating a mental filter, letting in the important stuff and blocking out the distractions. But is that even realistic? I mean, you've got 2047 news cycles, social media. It's like a constant barrage of information.
It takes real effort. But Hill actually breaks it down into 5 factors that can make it a little more manageable.
Right.
And guess what? Definiteness of purpose is back.
It's all coming together.
It is. Knowing exactly what you want is absolutely essential for focusing your attention.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you don't have a destination in mind, you're just going to wander aimlessly. You get pulled in every direction. Okay, so we set that clear purpose. What comes next?
Self-discipline.
Ooh, my favorite.
This is all about managing our emotions, especially the negative ones, like fear and doubt.
Ugh, tell me about it. Those can really take over sometimes, can't they? And cloud your judgment.
They can, but it's not about ignoring those emotions. It's about acknowledging them and then consciously choosing to focus on something else.
So it's like we're not just suppressing those feelings, we're actually redirecting our energy.
Exactly. Hill believes that self-discipline is like a mental muscle.
Oh.
It gets stronger with practice.
So it's not just about willpower, it's about building that resilience over time. I like that. Okay, what's the third factor?
Well, this one's called controlled attention.
Controlled attention. Okay, a little redundant.
I know, right? But it really emphasizes the act of intentionally directing your mental energy towards your purpose.
So taking all that energy that could be scattered in a million different directions and really laser focusing it on what we want to achieve.
That's it.
Okay, got it. What about number 4?
This one's called autosuggestion.
Ooh, autosuggestion. Sounds fancy.
It does. I like to think of it as brainstorming with a purpose.
Okay.
So it's about actively seeking creative solutions to reach your goals instead of just passively waiting for inspiration to strike.
So it's like we're being proactive with our creative thinking.
Yeah.
Not just daydreaming, but actually coming up with ways to turn those dreams into reality.
You got it.
Okay, I like it. And finally, number 5.
Power of will.
Oh, power of will. We all need a little bit of that.
We do. This is the fuel that keeps you going. It's that persistence to push through setbacks and stay focused on your goals, even when things get tough.
Oh yeah, persistence is definitely key. I know I've given up on things in the past just because I hit a roadblock and I just didn't have the willpower to keep going.
Hill would say that's a mistake. He believed that true success is not about avoiding failures. It's about having the grit to get back up and try again, learning from those setbacks along the way.
Okay, that's a good way to reframe it. I like that. I'm inspired, but I'm not going to lie. Juggling all 5 of those at once sounds a little overwhelming.
It can be.
How do they all, work together in real life? Do you have, a story or an example that illustrates this?
I do. So imagine a guy named Harold.
Okay, Harold. I like him already.
Harold is in a tough spot. He desperately needs money to make rent by the end of the month.
Been there.
Right. So instead of giving in to panic, Harold decides to use these 5 factors to find a solution.
Okay, sometimes a little bit of pressure can really spark some resourcefulness. So how does Harold use these principles?
First, he gets crystal clear about his goal. I will find the money to make rent by the end of the month.
Okay.
That's his definiteness of purpose. Then he uses self-discipline to manage those waves of fear and doubt that are, threatening to overwhelm him.
So he's actively choosing to stay focused, to stay positive, even though the situation feels really stressful.
Exactly.
Okay, go Harold.
And then he channels that energy into action. He uses controlled attention to brainstorm ways to earn money. He remembers he's pretty good at fixing things.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at tutoring math.
Okay.
That's him tapping into his auto-suggestion power.
He's getting creative, finding ways to turn his skills into income.
Right. And throughout this whole process, his power of will keeps him going. He reaches out to neighbors. He posts online ads. Even though he faces some rejections, he doesn't give up.
That's the power of will right here.
It is.
He's persisting even when it's hard.
Yes, and guess what? He pulls it off.
He does.
He does. He makes enough money to pay his rent on time.
Yes, Harold, I love that. That is such a great example because it really shows how those 5 factors, when you put them all together, it creates this powerful force. to achieve your goals, even when it feels like the odds are stacked against you.
It does. And, this isn't just about everyday challenges. Hill believed that these principles were at play in the lives of some of the most successful people in history.
Okay, like who? Give me some names.
Well, think about Thomas Edison.
Okay, the light bulb.
Yes. He was a huge advocate for controlled attention and auto-suggestion. He believed in focusing so intently on your purpose that seemingly impossible solutions become possible.
So it's like that laser focus that fuels innovation and breakthroughs.
It is.
Wow.
And he also talked about the importance of persistence, of not letting setbacks discourage you. He famously said, "I haven't failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work."
It's like such a great way to reframe failure. Like, yeah, okay, that didn't work, but I'm going to keep going. It reminds me of Alexander Graham Bell.
Yeah.
With the telephone, how many prototypes did he go through before he finally got it right?
Exactly. Both Edison and Bell, they embody these principles. Relentless focus, unwavering persistence, and this unshakable belief in their ability to achieve their goals.
So controlled attention, it's not just this theoretical concept. It's a practical toolkit that's been used by some of history's greatest minds. That's pretty amazing.
It is, and the best part is these tools are available to all of us.
I love that.
We all have the potential to develop this kind of mental mastery.
Okay, I'm feeling empowered. But I am curious about how controlled attention plays into making big life choices, like choosing a career path. Did Hill have anything to say about that?
He didn't specifically address career choices, but this is where Andrew Carnegie's ideas come in.
Oh, Andrew Carnegie. The steel magnate. Okay, I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah. So Carnegie was a huge believer in the power of specialization.
Yeah.
He felt that concentrating your energy and focus on one specific area was the key to success.
So, becoming a master of one trade rather than trying to be a jack of all trades.
Exactly.
I can see how that makes sense. But isn't that a little limiting? What about fields that required a lot of different skills? Working in retail, for example.
That's a great question. And Carnegie actually believed that specialization is still relevant, even in those fields that require, a more diverse set of skills. For example, think about a retail store, right? You've got a clothing department manager who's an expert in blouses and shirts.
Yeah.
And then you have a sports equipment manager who knows all about the latest, gear.
Even within a broader field, there are still areas of expertise that people can focus on.
Exactly. It's about finding your niche and becoming the go-to person for that specific area.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what if you start down one path, and then you realize it's not the right fit for you? Does that mean you've wasted all that time and energy specializing in something that you don't want to do?
Not at all. The skills that you develop along the way, even if you change paths, they're still incredibly valuable. Think about communication skills, problem solving, leadership.
Those transferable skills.
Exactly. Those apply to any field.
So it's not just about the specific knowledge that you acquire. It's about those core skills that make you adaptable and successful no matter what path you choose.
Exactly. And even if you're not sure what your specialization should be, just the process of exploring different options is so valuable.
Oh, yeah.
It helps you identify your strengths, your interests, your passions.
That's all part of the journey.
It is. And the most important thing is to eventually find that area where you can really focus your energy and your passion.
Okay. I'm getting chills. This is really making me rethink how I approach, my own career and the skills that I want to develop moving forward.
That's what these deep dives are all about.
I know, right?
Giving you those aha moments that can shift your perspective and help you unlock your potential.
This has been so insightful. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how my mind works and the power that it holds.
That's fantastic.
But before we wrap things up, I think we need a moment to let all of this incredible information just sink in. Don't go anywhere, listeners. We'll be right back to wrap up our exploration of Napoleon Hill's How to Own Your Own Mind. And we're back. All right, ready to finish up this mental marathon?
I think so, though honestly, I'm feeling pretty energized, not exhausted. Hill really packs a punch with his ideas.
No kidding. Creative vision, organized thought, controlled attention. My brain is still buzzing. But if you had to pick, the top 3 things you want our listeners to remember, what would they be?
Okay, top 3. Well, first, I want everyone to really get that their mind is powerful. Seriously powerful. We're not just, puppets of our circumstances.
We have choices.
We do. We can choose what we think about, what we focus on, and that shapes everything.
Okay, so that's number 1, mind power. What's next?
Next, I'd say it's remembering those tools concepts we've been talking about. Creative vision lets us see the possibilities, right? Organized thought helps us cut through all the clutter, make good decisions, and then control the tension. That's how we stay on track even when things get tough.
It's like having a mental GPS guiding us toward where we want to go.
Exactly. And the third thing, don't forget, all this mental mastery stuff, it's not just about like getting rich or being super successful.
There's got to be more to it than that.
There is. It's also about inner peace, about how you react to the world. When you learn to control your thoughts, you get more control over your emotions too.
So you don't sweat the small stuff as much.
Exactly. You're more resilient, more confident, less likely to freak out when things go wrong.
I think we could all use a little more of that.
Right. And that's where the real fulfillment comes from.
Wow. Okay, I'm convinced. This deep dive, seriously eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of, my own mind and how it all works.
That's great to hear. But remember, knowing this stuff isn't enough. You gotta use it.
Action time. Put it into practice.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing either. Start small. Maybe pick one of these principles that really spoke to you and just try it out.
Like, if creative vision really resonated, maybe try some new brainstorming technique.
Perfect example. Or if it was more about that organized thought, maybe you just start paying more attention to what you're thinking throughout the day.
And for all those folks out there who, like me, struggle with controlled attention, well, there are apps for that, right? Meditation apps, focus tools, things like that.
Tons of resources out there. The main thing, be patient. This mind mastery thing, it's a journey. It's not like you flip a switch and you're suddenly a mental ninja.
Yeah, some days you're going to feel like you're on top of the world, other days, back to basics.
Exactly. But the more you practice, the better you get at it. And the payoff. More creativity, more clarity, more resilience, and ultimately that feeling that you're really living your purpose. It's really
Yes. All right, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into Napoleon Hill's How to Own Your Own.
Hope you enjoyed the ride.
Big thanks to you for all the insights. And to all our listeners, remember, you've got the power to shape your own destiny, and it all starts with your thoughts. So go out there, own your mind, and create the life you want. See you next time.